right, we're going live and direct. Welcome to another episode of Prime Parents. I'm your host once again, Big Dog Chico, broadcasting to you live over the digital airwaves of YouTube and Facebook, where anytime we can have thousands in attendance and millions listening from around the world. So wherever you are, be sure to hit the like, subscribe, comment, all the other good stuff, share it, and just be informed for more of these exclusives to come, exclusive interviews. So introducing the father of one of Colorado's best. He's a former Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket, Arkansas Razorback, SEC third in the SEC in sacks. This year, he's leading the Colorado Buffaloes so far with sacks, with five. It's none other than Jordan Dominick, and here's his dad right now joining us, Mr. James Dominick. How you doing, sir? Thank you for joining me.
How you doing?
Good, good. I appreciate you joining on. Let everybody know where you're checking in from.
Checking in from Lakeland, Florida.
Lakeland, Florida, hometown of Jordan Dominick. We're going to get into the backstory as we usually do. What I like to do is give insight on the parents of the players so that you can learn more about the players.
I need to interrupt you. Can we hold on? My wife is trying to sign in as well.
Okay, all right, yeah, we're going to have a wife come on as well. Just in case you just now joining on, we're here live right now. If you want to support Jordan, you can look right above me right here and go to jordandominick.com, jordandominick.com, and join on and support him, which is excellent that we have these NIL situations where these guys can have their own websites to support themselves, and we all can buy their merch and support them. Now we have Miss Stacy Campbell, Dominick, the mother of Jordan. She's trying to get logged on here. So we're going to have both of them logged on here, and we'll work it out somehow to get it done. But we appreciate you joining on right now. Everybody in the chat, here's your chance to go ahead and get your questions in. Say hello, what you think. Let them know where you guys are checking in from. We got people all over the world that usually listen in with us, whether it's Dubai, London, Florida, down there, California, Hawaii, and so on. So everybody let the Dominicks know where we're checking in from. Give them some love for the Colorado Buff sack leader so far with 5. That's Jordan Dominick, number 44, has been a force coming off that end for Coach Nick Williams, who said he wanted to cause havoc this season. Mr. Dominick, since you're on right now and we're waiting on Mom, we can go ahead and ask you some questions maybe about the current events that's going on. And, of course, you know, with the Rose Bowl robbery, as they're calling it, Jordan even put out a comment on his Twitter page, and I'll read it for everybody right here. It says, "Forget and forgive to whoever snuck into the locker room and stole my chain, as well as my teammates' chains. I forgive you, and I wish you nothing but the best. Hopefully you turn your life around with whatever you got from for mine, and you learn from this. Is all love," is what Jordan Dominick posted on his Twitter. What do you think about that whole situation? As we have Mom come on too, what do you think about the whole situation with the robbery at the Rose Bowl, and also with Jordan's comments as he responded?
I'm disappointed, to be honest. I guess I'm disappointed. I would hope, or I was hoping that security would be better. I have my own thoughts, but I'm going to keep them quiet at this point in time.
Mm-hmm. And hello, Mom. How are you doing? If you don't mind, give you a chance to state your thoughts and how you feel about the Rose Bowl situation, and also about Jordan's comments. You might have to unmute yourself, though. There you go. Uh-oh. There we go. Can't hear you, Mom. Are you muted or are you unmuted? Okay, we're going to try to make sure we get you on. But somehow look like you're muted right now. Can you try to say something for everybody? Yeah, she's still muted. I don't know why. Try to log out and come back in, and we'll try one more time. But
I will say this. I'm proud of Jordan the way that he's handled it.
Yes.
We've always taught him to more or less turn the other cheek when someone's done you wrong, due to the fact that by forgiving them, our Christian belief has always been that by forgiving them, what's been taken from you will be returned to you, whether it be through gifts or whether it be through some type of kind act or whatever. God's got him, no matter what. It's material things that can be replaced.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and that's kind of echoing what he said in his Twitter. Also, I'll see if I can pull this up for people out there that might want to see it themselves or even want to follow Jordan, to just echo and understand what he said on his Twitter page or his X page. I don't know what they call it nowadays, but there it is right there. You will see Jordan in his response: forgive and forget. And he said, just like what Dad said to whoever snuck up in there. But while we're waiting, we'll get Mom's comments also. But if you want to give us a quick background of yourself, let them know where you come from. And maybe even if you have any athletic background or whatever, just share. Let them know about yourself a little bit so we can get to know more about Jordan.
Okay, well, I'm from Fort Myers, Florida.
Fort Myers. Hold on. You from Fort Myers? You from the way from down there where Coach Prime is from? You from the hometown?
Correct.
Did you guys know each other previously?
We weren't necessarily associates, but we were adversaries. Put it that way.
Okay.
From Pop Warner through high school, even up through college, he was always on the other team. I played for the Tice Tigers, which you probably could say it was the hood team, and he played for. He was commuted over to the airport area and played for the more or less well-to-do team.
Okay.
So he played for the Rebels, and it's kind of funny. I actually didn't start playing football, organized football, until I was about 12 years old. And my first year, we get to practice, and the coaches on the team were like, we got to get ready for Dion. We got to get ready for Dion. And my thought was like, who in the world is Dion? Right. And the crazy thing about it is we didn't play the Rebels until like the fourth or the fifth game. And, first day of practice, they're talking about Dion. So when we actually did get to the game, I remember I was standing on the sideline, and I saw this number 5 for the Rebels. And I saw him take a sweep and hit the sideline and shot past me on the sideline. And I said, "Oh, okay, that's Dion." All right, now I know now. But we've combated Pop Warner high school, and also I played my first year of football at Bethel College in Newton, Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually freshman of the year that year at we called it quick backer, but it was outside linebacker / defensive end. And I was actually a preseason All-American had I gone back that year, but decided to reach for bigger and better things. And I transferred to the University of Florida, and that's where I played at Florida.
Okay. You played at University of Florida, same position, outside linebacker, defensive end. That's
not necessarily. I transferred in as a defensive end. I was brought into the office one day, and they told me, well, we got too many defensive ends, so we're going to give you a choice. You can play tight end or you can play the running back. I told them, give me the ball. So I played running back at Florida.
Oh, okay. Nice. All right. So Florida Gator in the house. Shouts out to the Florida faithful out there, the Gator Nation. And Mom is on now. Let's see if we can have Mom on. Unmute the mic. I don't know why it says muted. Oh my gosh.
Tell her to hit the mute button and then hit it again.
Mama said she's hitting the mute button on her end. So I don't know why it's not bringing her in. I got an idea though, Mom. I'm going to put the link in the chat.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. There you go.
Okay. All right. I had to choose my microphone on my computer. Sorry about that.
There you go. Okay. Yes, ma'am. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Where are you checking in from?
I'm in my office.
Okay,
Lakeland, in Bartow. Well, I live in Lakeland, but I'm in Bartow in my office.
All right, and we'll step back for a minute. Tell us what you've thought about the Rose Bowl robbery as it's being coined now.
Well, I thought it was interesting, but I thought maybe it's a pattern because I remember watching when Coach Prime was at Jackson State and something similar happened. So I thought it was just unusual. It's unfortunate, certainly unfortunate for those young men who've invested. If they paid a lot of money for their jewelry.
Yeah.
But what shocks me is that it did not seem. Shocked me is that it wasn't secured. I just don't understand that when you go to play a sport at this level and you're leaving the what you think is a secured area and then things end up missing. So I certainly hope that they find out who did it, but probably unlikely.
Yeah, that's going to be tough to do, but if they have cameras around there, then maybe so. But but all in all, we were talking about Jordan's response on his Twitter page, and I
Yes.
think that might be a reflection of you guys' background and how you raised him. What did you feel about that response on Twitter?
I was super proud to see that that's how he took it because it's a thing. It's not a life.
Right.
And things can be replaced. So he's over it.
Okay. All right. So what we'd like to do is, as I told Mr. Dominic, that we like to step back and get to know the parents so that we can understand the player a lot more.
Okay.
So if you don't mind telling us a little bit about your backstory and your upbringing and where you come from.
Okay. So I'm originally from Jackson, Mississippi. And I went to Mississippi State University for undergraduate and graduate degree. And then my first job out of college was at the University of Florida, where I met my lovely husband.
There you go. I was going to say I got to click back on so I can see that.
Yes. And so, and then we ended up in getting married, and we're here in Lakeland now.
All right. Great. Okay. So you guys meet at University of Florida.
We did.
Early years. Talk about that coming up playing sports. Or you guys athletic background? Are you your athletic background? We know Dad has an athletic background, but what about yours?
Well, listen. In high school, I had in junior high and high school, I had coaches come more of basketball because I was a long-legged, tall girl. And they just said, "Come on, you need to come and try out for basketball." And I'm like, "I don't play sports." "No, you can play sports." So it was quite interesting when they got me on the court and saw that I had absolutely no coordination. They were like shocked, but surely you could do something. So maybe we can let you go play softball. Nope, can't do that either. Well, they put me out there anyway, but I did end up briefly on the team. I was the water girl. So how about that? Well, and then I ended up in the band as on the flag corps, and I ended up doing that fantastically and being the captain. Because the band director said, "You probably need to go into the military." He thought I was very structured, and I could flip a flag, if that's what you want to call it. So that's my sport.
All right. So did you end up going into the military?
No. Not at all. I had no intentions of going into the military, but my kids might have thought I did.
Okay. So Addie, speaking of you guys get married and you have how many kids? What is that? 4 kids on here? Three kids on here.
3 kids.
Okay. That's mom right there.
That's mom.
Have 3 kids. Jordan is the oldest, youngest, middle?
Jordan is the middle. Kirsten is the youngest, and Brendan is the oldest. But Jordan and Brendan are only 15 months apart.
Oh, how was that having them 15 months apart? That household also.
Well, no, it was beautiful. After having my daughter, I realized how beautiful it was having 2 kids together, because it was years later and you had another baby. So now you're kind of starting over, and it's like, oh my gosh. But it was beautiful, although they were terrors, but they're better now.
Did Brendan play sports also?
Jordan was 4 and Brendan was 5 on the football field, and they called
Let
him
me- I need to interrupt on this one.
Go ahead, Pop. We waiting on you.
I don't necessarily remember beautiful. I remember being politely asked to leave many places, but as far as football wise, they actually started out in baseball, and it started out with his older brother Brendan, and Brendan started out playing t-ball. I was a coach at the YMCA, and Jordan was just everywhere. He didn't play, but then eventually when he got on the field, he excelled to an extent if you could keep his attention.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of those kids in the outfield that would, if a bird flew by or a butterfly flew by, he would be throwing his glove at the bird or the butterfly.
Right.
And it got to the point where I figured, okay, I need to keep your attention. I had to end up actually putting him at catcher. And once I put him at catcher, he actually excelled to the point where he would dare the players from third base to try him.
Mm.
He would actually guard the plate at that age, and it was kind of crazy. But his brother Brendan was basically an all-star in baseball. He loved it. And then one day, a good friend of mine by the name of Vance Monroe, he's actually captain here for the Polk County Sheriff's Office. He called me up, and because I coached his son in t-ball, he said, "Hey, I got a basketball team. I want your boys. You want your boys to play?" I said, "Heck yeah." I need to keep them busy. So they started out in basketball. That's where they kind of developed the reputation of, okay, the Dominick boys. Because if one missed, the other one was coming behind. You had to look out for the other one as well. Right. And then basketball season ended, and I got the call from Vance again. He said, "Hey, you want your sons to play football?" I said, "Yeah, I've been looking for a football team to put them on." And the first year they played flag football, which honestly I hated, because they had this crazy rule that the kids could only score 1 touchdown per half. It made no sense. And essentially, if the kids broke out and scored, and he had 2 touchdowns, they would call the second touchdown back, and they would penalize you 15 yards. So they basically had to try to teach the kids to run out of bounds before they crossed the goal line, which was really stupid. And I was so happy to get rid of that. The following year, we finally said, okay, forget flag football. We put the boys in tackle and pads, and that's more or less where they started really excelling from that point. And it was the problem we had was Brendan was offense, Jordan was defense. So you can probably see where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
It was always competition, competition. And with Brendan, you get Brendan the ball. Brendan basically was a star athlete. He was the running back nobody could catch. Jordan, I told Jordan, I said, "Jordan, on defense, wherever that ball goes, you go get it." And that came back to bite me in the behind, because when Jordan took it literally, so that every time the ball was snapped and the play ended, Jordan was there taking the ball from the kid to hand it back to the referee. The referee could not just get a straight handoff from the kid. Jordan had to run between them, grab the ball, and give it to the referee.
Yeah.
And it came to the point where the referees would get pissed. It's like, look, you need to control him. He's got to touch it. Every play, Jordan felt he had to touch the ball.
He said, I'm doing what Daddy said do.
I told him get the ball. He went to get the ball. He's been doing it ever since. That's been his modus operandi.
So that's down there in Polk County, right? Whereas there's a lot of talent coming out of down there. And you said you were looking for a program, so not necessarily you didn't know where to kind of go to. They kind of came to you.
Yeah, well, remember I was a transplant.
Yeah,
I grew up in Fort Myers, then I was in the University of Florida, and then we got married. We moved to Lakeland, so I didn't know the history. I didn't know the organizations or anything, and it just so happened that when I coached t-ball at the Y, that's how I was able to learn about the different organizations here and there.
Make those connections with other guys, and
right.
They see these 2 sons. Hey, we're gonna call him for every team we have.
It was crazy because we actually had a game one time, and I was running late, and we were playing over in Brandon, and we got there late, probably maybe about 20 minutes before the kickoff, and the coach after the game, he walks over to me. He said, I was getting happy. I said, why? He said, because I was looking at your team and I didn't see number 4 and number 5.
Right.
And he was like, okay, we got a chance today. He said, just as he was thinking that, he looked up and he saw us coming through the gate.
Yeah.
Now we did blow the team out. We won. I think we won about 30, 35 points or something like that.
Wow. If you're just tuning in, you can see right here we have the parents of Jordan Domineck, sack leader right now for the Colorado Buffaloes. If you want to support him, of course, go to his website right there, JordanDomineck.com. Buy you some merch, get you some merch. Go follow him on Instagram and Twitter. I guess, Mom, we can go to some of the we're talking about early childhood. What are some family type morals or some things you guys might have done to continue to nurture these two boys you guys have, at least athletically?
Well, that's an interesting question you're asking me athletically and nurturing them, just making sure that they're behaving themselves. It's always God first and family. And we have, being that we, as I'll use my husband's word, being that we were kind of transplants into Polk County, everywhere you saw our kids, you saw us. And that went all the way through high school. So Jordan would probably be embarrassed if he saw this when I say they called me the stalker mom, because wherever they were, we were. Never got an opportunity to spend the night at other people's houses. They were here. If your friends want to come here, they can come here and spend the night with us. So I was probably the strict one. Daddy, James was easygoing. So yes, I got the name. I was told when they were in middle school and high school and playing basketball and playing football that when I walk in the door, they was like, oh my God, that's Jordan's mom. That's Jordan's mom. And everybody takes off running. And I'm like, what are they talking about? It's like, this mom is a stalker and she protects those boys. So I don't know if that's a good reputation or a bad reputation, but the end result, I'm pleased.
I have to, since she said that, I'm going to tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
When the boys started playing, as I said, Brendan played running back. Brendan broke out for 80-yard touchdown. When he got to the goal line, he was tired, so he didn't pass out. He laid out on the field because the boy clipped his ankle and he rolled into the end zone.
Yeah.
So he's laid out on the field, and I'm like looking. I'm like, okay, get up. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm at the other end of the field. I'm walking down casually. I'm like, get up, Joe Brendan. As I'm walking, I look out the corner of my eye, and we had just had our daughter. I look out the corner of my eye. I see my wife coming out of the bleachers onto the field with my daughter in her hand, talking about, you not checking on, why aren't you down there checking on him?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, get off the field. He's fine. I'm not going to baby him out here. He's going to get up on his own. He's fine. And he got up. When he got up, he came up to me laughing and doing everything else. And she's over here panicking, about trying to run onto the field during play.
Uh-huh.
So,
it's amazing. It is amazing how parents tell a story differently because you were not paying attention. And I was going, where's number 4? I'm sitting in the bleachers I said, we had 2 boys on the field. And I was like, somebody's hurt. Where's number 4? Where's number 5? I was looking and looking and looking. I saw number 4. I didn't see number 5. The kid was still at the end zone laid out. And I saw number 5 and I'm looking at the 50-yard line and I'm saying, okay, why isn't my husband going to check on his son? And I'm sitting there and I did not have Kirsten in my hand. She was in the stroller because I jumped over the fence because you were not paying attention. And so I was running toward Brendan, and this guy, now known as one of the team paramedics or whatever he was, came running toward me going, Mom, it's okay. And I'm like, it's not okay. He's on the ground. And so when he walked me back and he said that his chin strap, when he got hit, his chin strap hit him in the neck. And so by the time we got up there, I looked back and I'm saying to my husband, you're not paying attention. So then Brendan got up and everybody was cheering. And I thought, why are they cheering? He was hurt. So when my husband explained it to me, I was embarrassed. I took my stroller, I got in the truck, and I went home and told him and finally ride.
You went to the house and said, y'all can have this.
Well, for that game.
Yeah, for that game.
Because I was going to be there.
I have to say that was after I had fired her as the videographer.
Right.
Because the year before, when they first started playing, I had a camera with a tripod, and I said, videotape the game.
Videotape the game.
Brendan broke out for a touchdown. I saw Brendan take off. For the rest of the video, only thing I saw was the floor of the bleachers, and I heard her screaming.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Oh man, I can imagine that one going down, and that you coming back home expected to see the film.
Yeah. But I always talk to boys. I say, look, if no bone is showing, and you can breathe,
right,
get up, stop killing my grass.
Stop killing my grass. That's the old saying my coach used to say also. And I can see myself doing that to my son. Mom, it wasn't that he didn't see him. It wasn't that he wasn't. I'm probably speaking for dad right now. It wasn't that he was ignoring him. He knew what was going on. He saw him out there. You know, if it was a bone sticking out, he would have ran out.
That's right. He had his role and I had mine.
That. So coming up, how did they decide on? Did you just go to the school that was nearby, or did you guys have to decide on some coaches trying to get them to come to other schools, or how did that work?
All of that. So no, our kids were zoned to be at high school at George Jenkins, and that's where they went to school. We were not going to get in the car and drive them across town, but of course, there were a number of individuals who reached out to us in very different ways. Some even shown up at my office to talk to me about the boys coming to play, but it wasn't just about football; it was about basketball as well, especially for Jordan. So that was enlightening for me. And I can be very direct, but I was a little clueless too. I'm like, okay, why are they talking to us about Jordan coming to play for this school or that school? We live in this zone. That's where he's going to school. So interestingly enough, I was at one of the games, and one of the gentlemen came to me and said, Jordan really needs to be over here playing for this team. It was Jordan's team playing against that team. He says, because we have a lot of scouts that come out and look, and these college coaches and their staff, they come and look. And I said, okay, let me make sure I got this straight. Jordan can be seen if he played for this school, because this school brings in a lot of people come to this school for talents. Yes. I said, are they here now? Yeah. I said, well, then they'll see Jordan. If he's meant to be seen, he'll be seen. And the guy said, okay, and just kind of walked off. I wasn't being smart. I was trying to understand the logic. Because if Jordan plays well enough, I think he'll be seen. If he doesn't play well enough, he doesn't need to be seen. So,
we actually had a sit down with Jordan, because there was an incident that happened. I'm not going to go into it, but he was ready to transfer from the school that he was at. And he was like, I want to go here, I want to go here, I want to go here. And honestly, probably there were about 4 or 5 schools that came at him, wanting him to transfer after the incident that occurred. It wasn't a criminal incident or anything like that. It's just something that occurred that was very disrespectful. And he was like, Dad, I'm not going to be seen here. I go to these schools. They have scouts come here all the time. And I'll be honest with you, not many scouts, recruiters would come to George Jenkins where he was at. They would come to town and go to all the other big schools. They would go to Lakeland, Lake Gibson, Auburndale, all those schools. And I told him, I said, look, here's the thing. If you want them to come, give them a reason to come. Don't be trying to jump ship and join where the other supposed great athletes are. Be a great athlete here and bring them to you.
Right. And
he took that to heart, and he actually got to the point where his senior year, he had Florida State, Miami, all those schools coming to see him. And the thing that really made me proud about it was the fact that when they would come to talk to him, he would also talk up his teammates.
Right.
As far as trying to get them seen as well.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things we always instilled in him was, you can enjoy the accolades, but also be willing to reach down and help bring somebody along with you. And that's one of the main things that we try to impart into our kids. always be there to help other people.
Okay. I didn't ask this question, but it came through in the chat and it reminded me. Can you guys give us your background or your profession right now? What do you guys do for your careers?
My husband is an attorney.
I was there for that.
he does listen, I have to learn this. He does criminal defense. I know that part. He does landlord tenant. He does he practices law. And it's been interesting, this journey, because I have had to learn what each area of specialty is for him and what that means. Because when I hear criminal law, I watch too much TV. I said, somebody's going to get mad at you that didn't win the case, and they're going to come and they're going to get us. And I'm just telling you, I can't be in this situation. I'm just being honest. So I am the president and CEO of a workforce board in Florida. And our primary mission is to help employers hire, train, motivate, and retain their workforce, and to prepare the workforce, prepare those individuals who want to enter the workforce or do better or strive to achieve a greater goal.
Nice. Okay. So that gives us even more insight into you guys and maybe the thought process and even the upbringing of Jordan. And so going into the recruiting process, he's taking to heart what Dad is saying. He's bringing the recruiters and the scouts to him at his high school. And these guys come around. How do you guys make the decision on going to Georgia Tech? Was it Georgia Tech right? Yeah, Georgia Tech right out of high school. Yeah.
So that's
the story.
Yes, that's the story. So first of all, we traveled to a lot of schools. We got in the car and drove. They didn't have to be official visits, but if they were interested, we drove to Vanderbilt. We drove to a lot of places or flew to some, just so our kids, our daughter especially, and Jordan could go to see college campuses and see different things and experience it. So it was interesting. And James can tell the story about Jordan committing, because he did commit to a school. And then James, you go ahead with the rest of the story.
I'm gonna backtrack for a second. Going into high school, schools were not trying to get Jordan for football. They were trying to get him for basketball. Yeah, believe it or not, Jordan actually had a following and a big name in travel basketball. And we would travel and we
like the AAU circuit.
AAU, what was the other ones? I think it was not BYU.
Yeah, the ABC.
Yeah, it was about 3 or 4 different conferences to the point where we even ended up out in Las Vegas for the Fab 5 tournament as well, with the team that we put together. But yeah, we traveled and we did that more or less to give him and his teammates exposure to different things, not just be confined to Polk County.
Right.
But the crazy thing about it is we would travel, let's say we traveled to Atlanta for a tournament, and the parents, we would all be joking. He was like, man, we just spent all this money for our 2 local teams to play each other in the championship.
Wow.
You know, and then it would happen where we would actually end up where the Polk County teams are playing against each other.
Wow.
But it was worth it. It was worth it. They got a chance to travel and spend some time together and see different places. So especially the youth that we were working with.
So, but anyway, getting back to football, when the recruiting started, a lot of teams didn't. Jordan had a lot of small schools that were coming at him, that were giving him little interest and offering him scholarships and stuff like that. But Jordan's heart has always been, since he was little, since he was 5 years old, was Florida. Florida was his dream school.
Yeah.
And when Vanderbilt started showing interest, that's when Florida kicked in. That's when Florida State kicked in, Miami, and all those schools started kicking in. And just about every single day they had scouts at practice at Jenkins watching him. And then for some reason or another, and I found out later the reason why, they kind of fell off. They thought he was too small.
Wow.
He was Jordan was 6'4", 210, or 6'3", 210. And so they didn't think he was big enough for his position, even though he, in high school, Jordan was first team all county 3 years straight.
In the competitive Polk County.
In competitive Polk County. He would have been 4, but he moved down and played JV. And when they tried to move him up to varsity, I refused to allow them to move him up to varsity. I said, no, I want him to stay down to JV, get more experience. Mm-hmm. So he actually could have been first team 4 years in a row. But his senior year, he was actually named Defensive Player of the Year in Polk County for the large schools.
Wow.
And that was against Lakeland, Lake Gibson, Auburndale, Winter Haven, all those schools where you get even Haines City. Believe it or not, his freshman year, he played against Derwin James, who is the safety for the Chargers.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Derwin attended Haines City High School. Mm-hmm. Jordan played against him not only in football but also in basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his mom was scared during that time during the basketball game because of how big Derwin was.
Sure.
But yeah, when he was recruited, they kind of backed off, and it just so happened that the school that really came at him was University of South Florida. And lo and behold, the head coach of South Florida at that time was one of my former coaches at the University of Florida. Charlie Strong.
Yeah.
Charlie Strong.
Charlie Strong.
So Jordan decided, okay, I'm going to go to USF. And probably not too long before signing day, when he was getting ready to sign, Georgia Tech showed up at the school, and Jordan calls me and his mother and says, this coach is from Georgia Tech. He wants to meet with us tonight. So we meet with him. They offered a recruiting official visit. We went up. Jordan fell in love with the school and decided that's where he wanted to be. Mm-hmm. We looked at it not so much from not only football aspect, but also from the academic aspect as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, because they're strong academically, Georgia Tech.
Correct. Yeah, and we looked at it and looked at USF, okay, and Jordan wanted to go into, what was it? Kind of years to remind me of what he wanted to go into. The academic field he was thinking about, and I know it was medical.
Biomedical engineering.
Biomedical. And USF was saying, well, we got biomedical here and everything else. And we're like, okay. And come to find out that the head of the biomedical department had actually started the biomedical department at the University of South Florida. She was now at Georgia Tech. And when we got there, she had actually laid out his academics for us. Yeah. And his mother and I backed off, and we said, okay, we're not going to say anything. We had made up our mind we wanted him to go to Georgia Tech. But we backed off. We said we're going to let him make the decision on his own. And it just so happened that morning when he got ready to go in to speak with Coach Johnson, he walks up to me and said, Dad, I think this is the place for me. I said, it's up to you. And that's how he ended up at Georgia Tech.
At Georgia Tech. And so leaving the house for the first time, I know, Mom, what was your thoughts on this? Because
party time. I'm so glad.
Party time for you?
Yes, we still had our daughter at home. But
because Brendan's already gone.
Right, Brendan was at Mississippi State, and Jordan was closer, because when Brendan went to Mississippi State, I literally drove home like at least once a month, sometimes twice a month, to go and check on him. And kind of hang out with my sorors and go to football games and homecoming, things of that nature. But Jordan gave us an opportunity to now travel to Atlanta every weekend when they had a home game and wherever else. So we got an opportunity to go leave home and go see him play. So it was great to be able to do that. When we get off work on Fridays, we load up and get on the road and get to Atlanta late at night and be ready for the game the next day.
Yes. So that was an experience in itself in Atlanta.
Yes.
Phew.
Yes.
First of all, the traffic.
Yes, the traffic.
Here's the funny thing. When I was in law school at University of Florida, my friends were up in Atlanta, so I would go probably every other weekend to Atlanta. And it just so happened that during the partying stage, so to speak, I would actually be on Georgia Tech's campus and never knew it.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even know Georgia Tech existed in downtown Atlanta, to be honest.
Yep. Yeah, it's nestled in right there. You know, you if you don't see the logos or pay attention, you won't even know that you're there.
Right.
I never saw them.
Yep.
I saw the clubs and everything, but I never saw Georgia Tech.
Just got to pass right by them. Just keep going. No, so, Bo, all right, we're in college. Let me stop right here because we have a question coming in. I don't want to miss this. And I know Mom said soror, so that means that she is a member of a sorority. And they're saying Pop, Dad looks like he might be an alpha man. Are they members of sorority or frat?
So, yes, I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, and my husband is not a member of a fraternity.
Say that again, Pop.
I'm GDI.
What's GDI?
Don't say it out loud. We're on TV.
Let's just say
Me. Say that.
GD independent.
Independent.
You can probably figure out what GD means.
Exactly. I'm part of that too. we're fraternity brothers.
Now I will say this. I was this close to going Omega.
Yeah.
I almost went.
I would have gone Omega too had it been a little bit more of an influence at the school I went to. At the school I went to, it was like, you know, we got a bit stronger fraternity as a football team rather than joining someone else. So, yeah. But
here's the other thing I will say this. The reason why I really didn't join was when I got to the University of Florida during that time period, we as a football team, we didn't join fraternities.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because we would, it was crazy. The football team would actually fight the fraternities.
That's exactly. I didn't want to bring that up, but that's what happened.
It was like you on the football team, you join a fraternity, you got problems.
Yeah.
And I think we had one football player who actually was a Kappa. Mm-hmm. And we let him slide. But as far as going to the parties, the fraternity parties, it was I was in the fraternity. Our fraternity at University of Florida, we called it Yan Phi Yan.
Uh-huh.
Yan Phi Yan Yan Hall was our football dormitory. Right. So we residence hall. My wife gets on me when I say dormitory. Yan Hall was actually the residence hall inside the stadium at that time. So the football team had the nickname Yan Phi Yan. So you're on the football team, you're a member of Yan Phi Yan. So no, you're not a Kappa, you're not an Alpha, you're not a Sigma, you're not a Q, you're Yan Phi Yan.
Somebody understands me now. They used to come through. We used to be all jacked up off them weights and you know, a lot of adrenaline, and we waiting on them to come through with that little, what they call the step and the stroll or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was like
well, at least I'll speak for myself. Mainly because of me, I didn't have any rhythm. I wanted to step like that, but I ain't have no rhythm. But I got these muscles, so come on through. Those were the college times. You know, you do some crazy stuff in college. But he's at Georgia Tech doing his thing. Shouts out to Michael Johnson, went to Georgia Tech, from my hometown, and I played with some guys at UAB who from Lakeland, Florida. So I know the pride down there and how that works. When it comes to him making plays at Georgia Tech and then getting ready for the transfer portal is a thing now, and he has an opportunity to transfer. How does he make the decision to go to Arkansas?
Academics. He graduated, and he wanted to change the scenery, and also, I mean, he actually committed to come back to Georgia Tech. But when it came down to academics, as far as pursuing what he wanted to do in the medical field, mm-hmm. Georgia Tech's an engineering school. Mm-hmm. So they didn't have the academics that he needed or wanted in order to further his desire to go into physical therapy as he planned. So had to look elsewhere as a graduate.
And Arkansas offered those things. Also is in the SEC, so he's stepping up that competition and able to show improve on that level to possibly get to the NFL.
That was the other thing. He wanted to test his wares against the SEC competition, because I would tell him about I used to give him stories about SEC competition, teams we played, how we used to play, how we used to hit, how we took no prisoners, and it's basically, hey, you can be my best friend, but you line up against me, I'm gonna try to take you out.
Believe it. And so he ends up being third in the SEC in sacks, does his thing at Arkansas, and still has another year left of eligibility. And Coach Prime is going to Colorado. Who contacts him? How does Coach Prime get on his radar?
You wanted to?
So I don't know. I just know that when so Jordan did have before committing to Arkansas, he did have other official visits, and Jackson State was one of those places. And so we did go to Jackson State for an official visit, which is where we met Coach Prime.
Right.
And so Jordan was torn a bit between Arkansas and Auburn was also on the radar, but
well, you actually had Auburn, Penn State, Michigan State, California, and there were a few other teams as well that were trying to get him.
And with all of those schools, he was still considering Jackson State, being that Prime was there, and Mom went from down there.
Well, yes, he wanted to see what it would be like, and then he, like I said, he was torn because that was also it was an academic issue. However, it didn't. Either way it goes, it didn't pan out because he only was at Arkansas for 1 year. So you're not going to get a degree in 1 year.
Yeah,
playing football. That's my opinion. Playing football. Because at that level, at that point, at graduate school, you're focused on football. You're not focused necessarily on doing what you need to do to get to that level in physical therapy. That's a tough major, in my opinion. So he did end up choosing Arkansas, and it wasn't easy, but it was easier than Colorado. We had so many conversations and family meetings about leaving Arkansas and going to Colorado. And Jordan, I mean, when I tell you we had family meeting after family meeting and talking and praying and having another meeting, and it was a lot because my thought process, he hear from his dad, he want to hear from his baby sister what she thought. And me, and I'm like, oh my God, we got to pack again. Where are we? Just moving. And I'm in workforce development where we talk to people about having some kind of loyalty and staying. But we also talk about growth and go where the opportunities are. But I had the same conversation with Jordan, is that wherever you go, wherever you're leaving, you leave well. So if you ever wanted to go back, they would welcome you back. So follow the process, communicate with your coaches, consider what they're saying, and then make a decision. But whatever you do, if you leave a place, you leave it well.
Exactly. I like that advice right there. You leave it well so that you can always be able to come back and have those good relationships there. That's another thing that Coach Prime preaches, those relationships. So making this family decision, not just a decision on his own, making it a family decision, and also, considering possibly joining Coach Prime at Jackson State. Now he's at Colorado, but it's a huge opportunity for especially a player with 1 year left. How do you guys ultimately decide on that decision?
But after much discussion, we got an opportunity to meet talk to Coach Prime, but meet Coach Williams and Coach Kelly, right? Coach Kelly. Yep. Coach Kelly, though, that's the defensive
coordinator, Coach Kelly.
There's more than one Coach Kelly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So I know what I'm talking about. I promise you I do. So those guys blew me away. really blew me away. Coach Nick and Coach Kelly, just they were different from any other institution where we went and we met the coaches, and the communication, it just was so genuine. And they seemed like they knew Jordan. They knew what his tendencies were. They broke it down for me. Dad knows it, Jordan knows it, but I want to understand it a little bit more. And very patient. The personality, just the person and the genuineness. And when we did the official visit, although I was sick the first day, it felt like family. And that was a really good feeling. And although we had conversations back and forth, he ended up, I still had not said, go ahead. And I didn't realize I hadn't said, go ahead. And my husband called me. I think that he was out of town with my daughter, and said, Jordan is waiting on you to enter the transfer portal. I said, I already said, do whatever he wants to do. He says, but he wants to hear it from you. You need to call him and let him know. And I'm like, I told him it was okay. He said he wants to hear it from you. He's waiting on a call. I was like, wow. So I did. That Sunday night, I called him and I said, Jordan, if this is the best place for you, you go. We're going to support you 100%. And less than 2 minutes later, he said, would you read over my message that I got to post on social media about leaving?
Yeah.
I said, absolutely. And then, I mean, we handled that and got that posted, and that's the end of that story.
There you go. Now
the thing,
Colorado. Go ahead, Pops. I'm sorry.
The thing that impressed me about Colorado was that they were not trying to just pigeonhole Jordan as a defensive end. And what I've tried to tell people for years is that Jordan is not just a defensive end. Jordan can play the pass. Jordan, and a lot of people for some reason or another think he's only a pass rusher. Jordan has been playing the run since he was 4 years old.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting this past weekend when they played UCLA, and I saw Coach Kelly from UCLA put his team in the wing T. My thought was Jordan needs to be on that end right now so he can bust up that lead back. And they, for some reason or other, they made him shift down, and the kid got loose. But Jordan has always been physical, and for some reason or another, they've always tried to just pigeonhole him as a defensive end. But Coach Kelly and Coach Williams, when we went over the film, they showed exactly what I had been trying to tell people what Jordan was capable of doing. That he can play the run. He loves the pass rush, but if you paid attention to him, one of the biggest things in the recruiting that coaches have said about Jordan is that 9 times out of 10, wherever the ball ends up, Jordan's at least 10 yards within that area. And I've always taught Jordan to chase the ball.
Yep.
And that's what he does. That's his strong point.
Got to follow the ball on defense, have that high motor to get around, always be around the ball. You never know what can happen. Ball can pop out. There's a fumble recovery right there. That's why you always chase the ball. I try to teach the same thing. Did you do any official coaching coming up with Jordan, either high school or little league or just maybe kind of at home?
I coached him from age 4 up until high school.
Okay.
So I coached him, but I coached him in everything. That was my quality time with my sons.
Yeah.
And also I was able to, I looked at it as my duty to pass on my knowledge, not only just athletically, but also how to deal and how to respond to certain situations. Because I tell you right now, the Jordan you see now is not the Jordan that entered Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Jordan has matured quite a bit. Jordan was very hot-headed. And if you look at some of the videos and stuff that they got on YouTube, it's Jordan wanted to play outside linebacker at Georgia Tech, but they were like, we want you at defensive end.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had a hard time buying into the scheme that they had. And so it took him a little bit of time to get into it. And so he said, okay, this is where I'm going to be. And my thing has always been, don't argue with them. Show them what you can do, and
what-
and they'll see it. If they don't, then you have to make a decision from that point. But don't argue and don't burn bridges, as my wife said.
Yep.
But he's matured quite a bit. We're very proud of him right now.
Very proud of him. 55 minutes after the hour already. 55 we've been on, so we got like just a few more minutes left. So I got to get some questions in. So I know I didn't ask everything I probably should. So let's see about this. Said social loves and likes. Let me see. I got some start questions over here. What do they think of the injustices appear to target Colorado's program, like the NCAA rule changes, Tyler Brown situation, all that? I don't know. It might be a little bit too deep.
I can answer that. I'll tell you what I think about it.
Right.
This is what I think. I think that when you are doing something well and you're excelling, you're going to have more and more enemies. So know that you're doing something right. And if they're not talking about you, you can go home.
I like that answer. Thank you. I was trying to hold from, but I like that answer. Let me see here. I saw one. Jordan did a few segments on, has he always shown interest in the media? Because I've also seen with Chef Solomon on cooking with the steaks and stuff. I did a little reaction to that video on Well Off. So has he always been like that?
No. Jordan likes people, and he's very growing up, being tall. He played with the kids in the neighborhood. He would tower, over them, and they always wanted to run down the street and play with Jordan. Yeah. But Jordan likes people, so he has in my opinion, has a great personality. He's very outgoing. Now, they laugh about this, but when they were growing up, I had a microphone. It was a fake microphone. It was a Barbie microphone. Mm-hmm. And anytime the boys came back from, like when they were growing up, they would come back from a football game, I would run to them and get in their face and go, "Hey, tell me this. How is it that you made that touchdown?" And I put there like, "Oh my God, Mom, please, not now." I said, "Now." Yeah. To be honest, I said, because I don't want you to see you on somebody's screen stumbling over your words like you don't have good sense and you weren't raised by good parents.
There you go.
Tell you, we're going to be practicing, and when you decide you don't want to practice, you need to find somewhere to live. Uh-huh. So he seems to have listened a little bit. Uh-huh. But I mean, and it wasn't just with Jordan; it's with any kids, because it really does take a village, even more now today, to raise children. It takes a village. And so you have to be parents when parents are needed, whether you birth those children or not. So Jordan, he does well. He might every now and then call me and go, "What did you think about that interview?" And I'll say, "Well, you talk real fast, real fast, and you repeat stuff over and over again. Let's work on that part." But I'm always looking for opportunities to improve. But he's a great kid, yes, young man. He's a young man.
Great young man. Pop, what were you about to say, Pops?
I was going to say, as far as his interviews, his mom knows what I'm about to say. The fillers drive me crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And when what fillers are, basically when the person is saying, "You know what I'm saying?" It's like,
yeah.
That drives me crazy. And we've worked on that, but he gets into his little groove and it comes out.
Well, let me ask you this. This might help a lot of other people out there. What are some ways you can work on that? Not saying so many fillers here and there.
That's pretty interesting. We did a Gentleman's Institute program here where I actually invented a game. I call it No Filler, No Doubt. And what I would do with everyone, we'd give a prize. There'd be a prize at the end, but I would say, "Okay, I'm going to give you a topic. You have 30 seconds in which you have to talk nonstop without using a filler. And you cannot pause, just talk about the subject without using a filler." And the kids would have a ball with it because they would be listening so intently. And as soon as the person said, "You know what I'm saying?" or out of there. And then Then we go through all the kids, and then we get to the next round and say, okay, last round was 30 seconds. Now you got 45 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And it would go until we get to the next round. And eventually we would end up with about 2 or 3 in the final round. And we would put up like a prize, maybe $50 or $100 or something like that. And they would have to talk for a minute at that time.
Right.
And they did a great job after the first day. As you transition through the Gentlemen's Institute, they did an outstanding job. The young men, and we're talking about from elementary school to high school, and most of them, the reason we started the Gentlemen's Institute is to help young men in sports, whether it was basketball, football, it didn't matter.
Mm-hmm. And that really helps to develop these guys, the young fellas, at a younger age. I had Arden Walker's family on last week, and he spoke about when he was coaching the kids, he made sure his assistant coaches didn't curse at them or use curse words, because you should be articulate enough to be able to explain what you're, wanting them to know,
right.
Explain these things that you're trying to teach to them without using curse words so that they can grow up to be articulate young men also and not just rely on curse words and such. So
I'm sorry. That's kind of funny because when I was coaching Little League and actually high school, some of my assistant coaches would actually say, "Go ahead, Coach Dominick. You want to say it. Go ahead, say it." I said, "No, there's no need for me to curse. There's no need for me to yell and belittle a child." Yeah. Because I found that it's a lot more encouraging for that child by encouraging them to say, "Okay, you messed up here. This is what you did wrong." And honestly, Jordan used to get mad at me after games when he would have a great game and they'd be patting him on the back, and I still do it to this day. He'd be like, "Yeah, I was getting all this." I'd say, "Okay, now you want to talk about what you did wrong?"
Mm-hmm.
And he would be like, "Dad, you never let me just enjoy myself." I said, "I'm letting you enjoy yourself, but I'm also trying to teach you how to be able to figure out, okay, how can I get better?
Right.
What did I do wrong? If I mess up on a play, I would have him go back and look at that play and say, okay, what could you have done for this play not to happen like this?"
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And that's not a used to. He still does that. That still happens. Jordan will call home after he breathes a little.
Yeah.
Breathes a little from a loss or a win, and call home and get his feedback from his dad.
Well, very interesting to know this after a 2-sack game in the Rose Bowl. How did he call home, and what was your feedback after that game?
That game, I couldn't really say what I wanted to say because he took it as if he could have did more.
He was down on himself that
and
game.
I had to tell him, I said, "Son, you played a great game." Now, if I had been analyzing it, I would have been saying something to the effect of, "Well, when you shot in the backfield at one time," and I believe this was the play that Shiloh caused the fumble. The running back got the ball and he hit I think it was Steele and caused the first fumble.
Right.
I would have said to him, "You rushed in too quick and you went after the quarterback as opposed to reading the ball. Had you read the ball, you actually would have caught Steele in the backfield."
Would have
go back and look at that.
Running back.
Correct.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Or I would say you went down too far. You didn't keep contained on this. Just different things.
Okay, but playing at the Rose Bowl, just getting that opportunity and seeing that and knowing how historic that is, was that some type of sight to see? Watching it on TV, or did you guys attend? I should have asked that question first of all.
We watched it on TV.
Okay, and
it was nice. It was nice to see. But I have to, before you shut down, I have to say this. My husband knows what I'm about to say. I was enjoying it. Jordan called me right before the game, before he went back in the locker room, and he FaceTimed me, and he wanted me to see. He FaceTimed. He says, "Mom, this place is amazing." He was so excited. And then the game started. And somewhere early on, Jordan sacked the quarterback. and I was super excited. I was sitting in front of the TV, eating a BLT and watching. And when he sacked that quarterback, he had this big grin, and it was just all gold. And my food fell on the floor. I got up. I'm like, what in the world? Oh my God, Jen, is that real?
I can only imagine how mom would react to that, and not expecting it, and then to see it like that.
Totally did not expect it. So that just threw me, and I left him alone. I left everybody alone. But when he called me the next night, and I asked him, I said, "So, did you get your teeth replaced?" How did that work?
I called it all night. She was like, "Do you think those are real?" No, honey, he can take them out. But honestly, I thought it was one of the mouthpieces that they have now. Have the dual implant. But then I saw him open his mouth. I was like, okay, he went and got he went and actually got a grill. But my other thought was, I pray that those are actually his and not somebody he borrowed.
Because Jordan has been known to do that.
Let me borrow your grill.
When he was younger.
Let me borrow your grill. Jordan said, don't share that story.
Don't share that. So erase this thing after you're done.
Oh my gosh.
Big Dog, I see in the cake. Big Dog, I see in the quote somebody said, where is it? Miss Janality says, Chico, we see you being careful now, trying not to use those fillers.
I'm trying to improve. I'm trying to.
You're doing a great job.
It is hard. If you had listened to me a few minutes ago, I actually said, So it's hard. It's hard to do. You have to be cognitive as to what you're doing.
It's definitely not easy. I go back and watch these, and I want to share sometimes, but I'm like, man, look at me saying is not a word or a question. So yes, I'm hard on myself with it too. So I'm trying to improve myself. Look there it is right there.
Well, I have to really be cognitive, because when I'm in front of a jury, I can't be saying, you know what I'm saying. I have to be succinct and exact as far as what I'm saying, right, in the courtroom. So that's how it came to pass with me, as far as that being a pet peeve of mine.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll really appreciate you guys joining us. We're after the hour. I didn't want to hold you guys too long. I know you're busy, but we're having a great time here. Let me see. I'm going to have one question come through. The next question come through, I'm going to ask them, and I'm going to let them get off of here. And
we got time. My wife don't mind.
Okay. Let's see here.
Well, if you want me to answer that question that's up on the screen right now.
Oh, let me see. Do girls contact her? Oh, Lord, I didn't even know I highlighted that. Sorry, but it's on there.
Well, let me tell you something that's interesting. Ask mom, do girls contact her about JD, or how does she handle his girlfriends? Girlfriends, that's plural. Jordan has had very few girlfriends throughout life.
There's a reason for that. And it's not because of Jordan.
What'd you say, honey?
No, I said my bad.
It's not because of Jordan.
It's not because of Jordan. Okay. It could be because of mom. Well, whatever it is, that's okay. But I will say to you, in high school, a lot of girls approached Jordan. And I mentioned at the very beginning, they called me stalker mom. And I earned that, not just for me, but for young ladies. And this is really a lesson for me and for just, guys. The reality is, when guys are in sports, people flock to you, girls flock to you, and they need help. The girls need help and the guys need help. And you're not the parent that's helping. Oh, I'm so sorry. But we really worked hard to make sure that the boys were presenting themselves well, and that they have a lot of respect for young women, which means that we as young women, I'm calling myself young, have to also have respect for ourselves. So we've come across situations where young ladies were throwing themselves at Jordan or Brendan or whatever the case may be. And I have taken the liberty of being the mom to the girl and having a conversation about how you carry yourself and how you present yourself. What do you want to be seen as? So having those conversations with them. I will go back to the Gentlemen's Institute. One of the sessions that we had, we brought in the Lakeland Police Department, and they had a gentleman. He's a forensic. He was in forensics, and he came over and presented about cell phones. And the guys would be fascinated about cell phones and having your cell phones and talking about, all these things that you do on your cell phone, and some of this stuff is not private. And he talked about young girls at this age sending pictures of themselves, and they might not have any clothes on. Mm-hmm. He talked about that is a felony. And then if you share it with your friends, you share it with 7 friends, that's 7 counts. And so he did an outstanding job explaining to these young men, and there were like 20 young men around the room, and then you got all the male faculty, and then you got me, the orchestrator of the event, of the institute, and I was in the back corner listening. Well, the forensic guy did something that I thought was I appreciated it later. He said to the young men, given all the stuff that you know about what happens with your phone, he said, I will offer you all once in a lifetime opportunity. And he said, so don't worry about your parents. They're not here, but I was there with my kids. But I will give you one opportunity. If you, by any chance, want to clear, because there's nothing you can do. Everything that's on your phone, it's there. You can delete it, but it's there. It's always there. Yeah. And he said, I will give you one opportunity. If you want me to wipe your phone clean back to factory settings, I can do that. But here's how it will work. If you want that to happen because of what you've learned today, you go home and you save those family pictures, the things that you cherish, offload them get them off your phone and put them away. You bring your phone back. Now, you don't have to worry about your parents seeing. You bring it back. I'm going to have a box here, and you put them in the box. And Officer Wesley will bring these phones over to the precinct, and I'll take care of them. By the end of the day, you'll have your phone back. Well, I was in the kitchen talking about what meals we were going to have for the boys to prepare that day. And they left with the phones, came back. All of a sudden, they come back, and I'm looking at them hand out phones, and they handed Jordan the phone. I was like, why did you have to put your phone in the box? What did you have for your phone need to be cleaned off? He was like, Mom.
I had to step in. I had to step in on that one. But it was very eye-opening to the point where he showed the program that he has, where he took someone's phone. Well, he had an example. He took a phone and he showed, okay, this is what you normally would do when you delete something.
Yeah.
Okay, when you see this, you think everything's deleted. He's like, yes. Well, he went into his program and he pulled up the drop-down menu, and he said, that thing you thought you deleted, it's still here.
Yep.
And as a matter of fact, I can take it from here and I can actually put it back on your phone.
Wow.
But he also showed them how he wipes the phones clean to back to factory settings. Because normally when you do a default, you might default, but that stuff is still on your memory card. It's still in the SIM card. His program showed how he actually wipes the phones clean, as well as part of his talk was showing how they do forensics on phones in order to get evidence for criminal cases. Mm-hmm. Now, that was enjoyable for me because I was thinking, oh yeah, as a defense attorney, I got a new weapon.
Yeah, definitely.
He's showing me what they do behind the scenes. So that was actually educational for me there. But it was an eye-opener for a lot of the kids. And I actually stepped in and I told the kids, I said, look, girl sends you a pic and you think, oh, this is great. And you send it to your best friend or whatever. Yeah. Guess what?
You just committed a felony, right?
That's a third-degree felony.
Yep.
Okay. And you keep sharing it to 20 people, that's 20 felonies you got there. And a third-degree felony here in Florida is 5 years maximum Florida State prison.
Woo.
Okay,
That's what I'm
so
sharing.
that's just for sharing.
Trying to get a response from a friend.
Exactly. So, and also you videotape a girl and you send it out to your friends.
Yep.
If she's underage, you have a problem, regardless of you underage.
Oh,
and
man.
once you get into that get into that criminal justice system, it's gonna cost you and your parents a lot of money.
Yep.
To get out of it.
That was one thing my mom used to tell me from an early age. I don't know whether it was a scare tactic, but think about it, it wasn't. But it did scare me back then. She said, you get suspended from school, you fight at school, you get in trouble at school, all of that stuff going to follow you for the rest of your life. Because people always ask, how was he in school? What type of student was he? How did he treat you? And so on. That's how people find out about you, by going to ask other people. I found that out during the NFL draft combine and interviews and stuff that they did when I was in college. My junior year, I saw those scouts went around and talked to even some teammates. How is this guy? We're thinking about drafting. How did he help you out as a senior when you was a freshman? Like, what? All of these questions are asked, and that's why it's very important. And it goes back to what Mom said. You want to leave wherever you're leaving, you want to leave it nicely. You want to leave it with respect. You want to leave it pretty much as you came. Leave it like that or better.
Right.
So I had a question come in. You guys from or living in Lakeland, Florida, did you have any relationship? And I saw a picture. I should share it here, but I saw a picture with Kamani and Jordan. Is he more just being like a big brother to Kamani, or did they have a previous relationship coming from that area?
I don't think they had a previous relationship. Kamani is much younger than Jordan. Because think about it, Jordan he's graduated from college, and now he's in his second year, after graduation, and Kamani is coming in as a freshman. But Jordan supports Polk County boys, period.
Yeah.
Period. So, and I really appreciate that. And we can see that love in the community when we're on Facebook and we're watching the game, and everybody's either texting me or texting dad or texting family, and they're all watching the game, and they know Jordan, they know the Polk County boys. So, I think what he puts out, he receives back. So the way you give is in most cases what you receive. And he supports Polk County boys, but he supports his teammates, period. But Polk County boys, he does.
So when you see him do this, that's not saying loser.
Lakeland. Lakeland.
That's for Lakeland.
Shouts out to my former teammate Kenny Borders. I already know. Shouts out. He let us know about Lakeland, Florida.
Yes.
Here we go. So we saw that picture, and that's a good thing that he is just being there. Is seemingly being there for Kamani, a younger kid, away from his fam, but just to have another familiar face, a Polk County, the same type of maybe accent or dialect I speak, you speak it, you understand where I'm coming from.
Yes.
It's good to have those type of people there with you. And then the coaches from all around that area, Coach Cheney and Coach Prime being from there, a lot of Florida coaches, Coach Prime has brought up. Has that made you guys a lot more comfortable also?
Well, those are my homeboys.
See?
Coach Cheney and Coach Prime, Fort Myers, they were in North Fort Myers. I was at Riverdale.
Yeah.
So I played against them. So when Coach Prime says old school, that's how I was taught.
Yeah.
And that's how I have taught Jordan, old school.
Yeah.
So, and I've always taught him pain is in your mind.
Yep.
Okay. So he has a very high threshold for pain when it comes down to it. Although his mom wants to baby him, I won't let him baby himself.
I don't baby him.
But yeah,
I don't want to baby him. You're about to make them shut this show down. I'm just joking.
It's I honestly, and I'm gonna go here with as far as Shiloh's ejection. I was like, I cannot believe what this game is becoming, because that was a legitimate hit.
Right.
And the only thing that happened was top of Shiloh's helmet happened to graze the face mask of the other kid.
And that happens.
Now,
targeting.
back in the day, we would look to decapitate a kid coming across the middle.
Better believe it.
That's what we look for. And that's the other thing that drives me crazy watching football now is the defense are leaving the middles wide open. Back in my day, you had a lot of receivers. If you came into that middle, you had alligator arms.
See,
you didn't reach for that ball.
Right. And see, my favorite receiver was Michael Irvin for those very reasons right there. He would go over the middle, make the catch, and get up and give you a first down, reaction.
But you see what happened that caused him to end his career, right?
That's exactly where I was going up there in Philadelphia. And so I came with that mentality of going across the middle back then when I was tight end, slot receiver. That's exactly what I did. I went across the middle with that mentality. Hit me if you want to. Then I went to college and big Derek Bush, 6'4", 205, free safety, hit me because he wanted to. And I said, I don't want to get hit like that again. I caught the ball. I said, oh.
When I was in high school, we had a all-out blitz we called triple bandit. And that's when you're sending the defensive ends, the inside linebackers, and the outside linebackers.
Right.
And it's all coming to get the quarterback. But our saying was, hold him up till I get there. That was our mentality.
Huh? So you can take his head off. You holding him up.
Exactly. Don't take him down right away. Just hold him up. Give me time to get there. Yeah.
That's that football talk, Mom. Sorry. That's that football talk.
It's all good. It's all good.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and end it right here. We don't want to hold you guys too long. We got questions coming in, but all you guys got to do is keep asking these questions, and Mom and Dad can possibly go and get in the comments. Y'all can answer some questions in the comments also. They're going to keep coming in, and hopefully we can follow up with you guys again after JD has another 2-sack game, and probably that game that he feels like he really did what he wanted to do on the field. So
will do. Well, you have been such a gracious host, and we really appreciate it very much so, and your audience. And yes, I will go and read the comments and respond, because I think that if people have taken their time out to be here, then we at least could do that.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much once again, both of you guys, for taking time out to join us and talk about the one and only JD Jordan Dominick out of Polk County, Florida, doing his thing, number 44, the defensive end for the Colorado Buffaloes. Y'all make sure y'all show him some love. Get on there on the website right here. You should be able to see it right there, JordanDominick.com. You got hats, hoodies, shorts, shirts, everything on there. I mean, I can, Pops, can you imagine back in your day and my day, we were able to sell stuff with our name on it and logo on it? My God.
Back in our day, we used to get in trouble for going to the store early in the morning, buying candy, and then trying to sell it at school.
and we couldn't take a breakfast from somebody. They would try to say, "Oh, that's a violation." So nowadays, I see my man got shorts on here selling. I said, "Look at this! He got a skull cap with his logo on." You gotta love it though. So y'all go support. More to come. This has been Prime Parents. We thank you once again. Chico to the C, and I'm out.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.